it's Lel, and it's time to talk about episode 25 from Tropical-Rouge Precure. What a fun episode. I loved it. This episode was everything I needed after last week's episode that kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. This was everything that I needed and more. It was a lot of fun and it had a lot of heart as well. But before I start talking about the episode directly, I want to talk about one of the animators that worked on this episode. He was actually the animation director of lots of scenes of this episode, who is Hiroshi Tatezaki. Hiroshi-san works in Precure and lots of other great anime, and his work is awesome. And if you don't know who he is, I'm gonna leave a link to an interview that me and other people here from the Magical Cinema channel did with him. Yes, we had the honor of interviewing him online, and he shared lots of interesting and insightful thoughts throughout the world of animation. So if you would like, you can check it out. I'm gonna leave the link on the description box of this video and also in the comments. Anyways, let's talk about episode 25. I think that now we're having a batch of more laid-back episodes in Tropical-Rouge. Tropical-Rouge is a very laid-back season, right? I feel like it's probably going to be, when it finishes, it's probably going to be the most light-hearted season of Precure we've ever had. It never gets too sad, it never gets too dark, and we know that this exists in other seasons, but so far, Tropical-Rouge has been very uplifting and it's been very tropical, right? And I'm liking this. I usually don't like it, but I am really liking it with Tropical-Rouge. And so this episode was no different than last week's episode, for example. It didn't really bring anything new in terms of plot or in terms of character development, but it was a lot of fun. And as I said, I feel like this episode had a lot of heart, and it also had a very smart storytelling. It had a very smart narrative. One of the first things that I want to say, I feel like in one of the first scenes we see Sakuragawa, the teacher, in her parents' house, and we see her eating apples with her father, and they focus on the apples. And then on the next scene we see Minori talking about the apple orchard her father has. And so we never got that information. They never explicitly told us that Sakuragawa's father had an apple orchard, but Minori mentioning it and Sakuragawa eating apples in his house, it's clear enough for us to understand it without the episode having to, make this point. It made this point in a very smart way. And another thing that I found very smart for the plot of the episode actually was the disconnection between what was actually going on. So her father was going to Aozora City for something that was a secret, and when she told this to the girls, she was worried about it, and when she told this to the girls, Manatsu basically created a whole scenario in her head that he was going there to judge her, to see if she was fit or not to be a teacher, and if she wasn't, she was going to have to take care of the apple orchard. So we in life, we create so many situations in our heads, and at the end of the day, most of them play out so differently, and they are so different than what we imagine. So that was a very smart and funny thing to see in this episode too. And obviously this episode was comedy gold, with Laura imagining the queen as her mother in the classroom. And this makes me wonder if the concept of family is different in Grand Ocean. I don't think they're going to go there, but just mentioning here, because Laura makes it very clear that her motherly figure is the queen. And so that was nice. That was nice. And that shot of the queen together with the other moms, it was amazing. And we had so many funny moments, like the "oh my god" from Sakuragawa when she was messing things up. She's an English teacher, and everything felt very on point. And when her father arrived in the city and the girls were there, the girls were not ready, we see Manatsu getting super nervous, and the hair, that detail in the hair, it was everything. And Manatsu trying to use a polite Japanese way of speaking, but it kind of sounded very funny. And Asuka getting very nervous as well. I love when Asuka gets very nervous like this, because it showcases like the duality of her personality very well. This brave girl who is very responsible, but also kind of shy and not very confident. And I really like that, because usually the older girls in Precure are the badass ones. And she is definitely not. Like, she is sometimes, but she has this other side of her that has no confidence at all. And so she's like always tense and nervous. And I really like that about Asuka. So that whole scene of them at school, it was very funny and lots of, you know, jokes and very anime-like, with the girls falling down their heads and, you know, very caricature and just funny. And, you know, I just lived for that scene. And then we see the parents at school, and we see Sakuragawa trying to make things right, but she was not really able to do that. And she was getting lots of things wrong. She forgot the keys. She wrote lots of wrong things in one of her worksheets. She broke the chalk, and her little cat, the nose of the cat fell down. Lots of things went wrong with Sakuragawa's experience, and obviously when we're nervous, everything goes wrong. But there was one thing though that I really liked about this, which is her students were always backing her up because they really like her, and so they collectively decided to help her. And I really love this feeling of like when people collectively get together to do something good for someone. I love this. And so let's talk about the villains now. Tatezaki, the animator, he worked as an animation director in lots of classroom scenes, and also in the first scene of the second half of the episode, which was that amazing scene of the villains. I love the villains of Tropical-Rouge. And look, who never felt like Elda? Sick, tired after a vacation and having to go back to work. Like, who never felt the vacation blues, the holiday blues? It's true. It exists. It really exists. And I absolutely loved that scene. And I didn't really understand the purpose of having Numeri going with Elda to the attack. I really didn't understand that, but I am not complaining. I just didn't understand why, but I loved it. Bring it more. I feel like Numeri should always go to attack. I love her so much, and I really love Elda too. So it was very cute seeing them interacting. I really love how Numeri treats Elda like her little daughter, and she's always cheering her on, and she's always taking care of her. And so Elda went on to attack, and she was like, "I'm gonna put on a good word for you, girl. Just chill." But at the same time, she was like, "No, you have to do this. Vacation is over, you know?" So Numeri is just a great parent. She's a great mother. I love her so much. Oh my god. And the fighting scene was fun. It was very short. Very, very short. I thought it was going to be a little bigger, but it was because it started kind of early in the episode, I feel like. I don't know. It might be just a feeling. But it was nice because we have Pure Flamingo kicking some ass with the kicks. And we also had Pure Papaya rolling outside of her transformation. We see her rolling in her transformation, and now we see her rolling during an actual fighting scene. I just love that. I am living for that. I really love that moment. But the fight was over very quickly. It had some funny moments here and there too. And at the end of the day, her father, Sakuragawa's father, was there just to check on her. All that creation they did about the apple orchards, it was all their creations. It wasn't actually true. He wasn't actually doing anything like that. And he was just there for a detour. And his actual thing was that he was just cheering for an idol that he loves, that was going to perform there. And it was very funny because they showed the idol group. Like we just saw a little bit of the idol group, and it's comprised of old women. It's very nice. I really like that. I really hope that this group appears in Tropical-Rouge someday. I would love to see them perform as well. And there is also another thing that I really liked about this, which is In this episode, we see Sakuragawa struggling, and she is trying her best, but she's always struggling. She's very clumsy, but she is an adult. She is a professional. So she has to have high standards. She has high standards for herself. She can't really, hit the mark with them. But at the same time, we can really see how great of a teacher she is to the girls and how strong their relationship is. Not only to the girls, to the whole classroom. They all love her. And I feel like this is a good argument. Because when we become adults, we tend to have a lot of pressure. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But there's a pressure from the society for you to do well in everything you do, to succeed in everything you do, but most especially to act like an adult. And sometimes we act like adults, but sometimes we can't act like all perfect and never make mistakes, and especially not be clumsy. I'm a very clumsy person, and sometimes I show my clumsy side. In certain situations, I should not. I should be very professional and everything. It just happens. So I felt a big connection with Sakuragawa in this episode. I really love it. And I feel like it's a great way of conveying this, you can be this way. It's fine. If you can keep up with your responsibilities in your work, it doesn't matter. What matters is your ability to work and your dedication to your work and everything else. So I found that very nice. I felt contemplated by this episode in this sense. And the last scene of Sakuragawa and her father, praising her and saying how great of a teacher she is, and she never really lost her way and her personality. I really loved it. I really, really loved it. And the last shot of the girls, oh my god, I love that. It represents a lot of what Tropical-Rouge is all about. So Tropical-Rouge is back on track for me. Gosh, how lovely this episode was. I really loved it. And next episode, it seems it's also going to be an interesting episode. I liked the preview, and I'm curious to see what's actually going to happen. And we're going to have a secondary character getting the spotlight. I'm curious about her too. Anyways, this was my opinion on episode 25 from Tropical-Rouge. Please leave a comment with yours in the comment box below. Let's keep talking. And I want to take this time to thank the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you are a member, thank you very, very much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And if you've watched up to now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye bye.